You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back for another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Well, it is officially March. March Madness in so many different ways. It has been an eventful February. Black History Month was very momentous. I have some things I want to share very soon on this episode. I'm not going to delay it, but I'm excited that it's March. I'm excited that spring is near. There will be a daylight savings time, I think. Are we still doing that? Will we spring forward so I lose an hour of sleep next weekend? But yeah, this month is super exciting. My good friend Gio, one of my lit brothers, he's returning back with his podcast, Table 86, which for those who are trying to figure out why 86, because that's the year he was born, 1986. But it is coming back. It was on a hiatus for a period of time, but it's a really great show about restaurant culture, food, and dining. And there might be a special episode with yours truly. So for those who don't know where to find him, go to Gio's Table, check him out on Instagram. But that podcast is coming. Also this month, my other lit brother, my bestie, Jamarcus, is dropping a new single. As you all know, he's a recording artist, and he has a new single coming out for his upcoming project. His album is called Soulless, which is coming out on April 26th. But he has a new single, lead single coming out called Home, which is coming out later this month on March 29th. If you've been following him on social media, you've been seeing all of the aesthetic. It's giving Matrix. It's giving futuristic. It's giving fun. And so I'm excited for people to get a chance to listen to it, But let me tell y'all right now, y'all not gonna Kelly rolling me, all right? So when y'all see me out and about, y'all not gonna ask me all the questions about the music and this and that. You're gonna ask me some things, but I'm not gonna reveal anything. I'm just gonna say, the music is good. I'm very happy for him. New things are coming. But I am not giving away any of the special ingredients of sauce. So if you want to know about this album, about this new single, you got to, make sure you subscribe on all the music platforms, Jamarcus Henderson, to, get the music. So it's Jamarcus is JAMARCUS and then Henderson. So it's Jamarcus Henderson. It shouldn't be hard to find. But subscribe for those updates because, there could be digital drops and everything else. You don't want to be left behind. Fortunately for me as a friend, maybe I have heard some of it already. Maybe I already know what's going down in this upcoming project. But you all got to, make sure y'all do it. And y'all not going to come up on me trying to get it. Because I know how, I see how Kelly must have felt. She had trying to promote horrible movies like Mia Cooper, whatever that is. And she's being asked about, her good friend's music. Like as if she's going to leak anything. I think there was one time, if I'm not mistaken, where she probably hinted at the gender of one of Beyonce's babies. This was years ago, I think. She probably said the gender, I guess, before it was public. But stuff happens. But I think she's just at a point now where she's like, look, I've been in the game for so long. This woman has been a quarter century in the public conversation. So I hope that people will respect and let her, do her thing. So yes, those are two great projects coming from my lit brothers. Black History Month, the grand finale was at Bacon, which I was super excited I was able to go to. All the Black influencers. It was another party. Last year, the first one was at Booker's, which just recently celebrated their 1-year anniversary under new ownership. But this event was at Bacon. It was popping. It was fabulous. Lots of glamour. Lots of beautiful folks. I brought all my friends out. All the PABJ leadership team was there. My good Judy Dr. Parks was there. We got to, make plans. Who else was there? Everybody was there. That was, the Black influencers that normally be up and about. It was beautiful. The food was great. It was great to see the originators of the Hanging Bacon. Since some people want to act like, it just fell from the sky. That got clarified. But it was wonderful. The DJ was great. Shout out to Justin and Calvin, the two co-owners of the restaurant. It seems to be doing fabulously, and I'm looking forward to them just building more capacity. I mean, they got over 11,000 followers in like 2 months on the restaurant page. They just have grown exponentially since all of the craziness that happened in February. So I'm really excited for them. So before I get into the hot topics, last week was a very short episode, and a lot of people were like, this is how I know. Because I said, oh, I do a little short episode. Let me see. Y'all felt some type of way. Y'all were like, this episode too short. But some people, the critics say, the episodes are too long. I'm joking. I don't give a fuck what the critics say. Because the critics are not subscribers. You all are. But it was interesting because people were like, the episode was really short. And it felt like I was going fast. It just felt like the episode was short. And, I will tell you all that while I was recording the episode, I was heavily nauseous. And it wasn't like I couldn't do the show. It's just that I just felt a sense of nausea that made me feel like, I want to finish what I started, complete my episode, and I'm going to take me a good nap and sit my ass down somewhere. That was where my whole headspace was, that I just wanted to, do my show and then lay my tail down. And I think part of it is that when I'm 100%, I'm feeling good or whatever, I'll talk for hours, like my girl Money Long, I can go for hours. But how I was feeling last week, the nauseousness of it all, I just was like, I just want to get my points across and sit the hell down. So Ernest with nausea means, Ernest, you're getting a 1 hour episode. Ernest feeling, well, unless it's a special edition. Sometimes my special editions are an hour because it's on one single topic. But in this situation, I was just like, I just need to just chill. I just wanted to just rest, So I found out that nausea was more than just nausea. It was a stomach bug. And I think it was Norovirus. I feel like I went out of town last week. And after I ate something that was there, my stomach, my whole body just did not feel right. And it got worse. And I went to the doctor and I had to, rest. I had to take some meds. I had to take nausea medicine and patches. This cool patch is really good. My whole dietary situation changed within a week. I really couldn't eat much. I had to, take fluids, and I couldn't eat like full meals, and I lost some weight. I was already losing weight because of just this year I've been, as you all know, scaling back, but I lost like a lot of weight last week, in addition to what I was already doing. And I was bed rest. I mean, I didn't really go out too much. I went to a couple. I was fortunate enough to be okay enough to go to the Bacon Bacon event. But for the rest of this week, baby, I was in the bed. I rested. I hydrated. I kept it cute. I didn't do too much because, they say Norovirus. First of all, if you don't know what it is, let's get into that. It is something that is really spreading across the Northeast. I don't know how bad it's been, but it's known as the Norwalk virus, and it is also considered the winter vomiting disease. Yikes. It's a common cause of gastroenteritis. It's basically non-bloody diarrhea, vomiting, and stomach pain. There is fever and headaches. For me, I didn't have an issue with number 2. I had a lot of issues with, the projectile, the oral projectile. I don't want to get too graphic, but that was my big thing. But it was definitely, it was bad. They said that the symptoms usually begin 1 to 2 days after ingesting the virus, but then they say it can appear as early as 12 hours after exposure. They said that, depending on what it can be, it can clear within a few days. You can normally you can look after yourself at home, which is what I did. I'm so gracious to have a good husband that really, allowed me to, rest and heal and be in my own room. Because they do say it's kind of contagious depending on the circumstances. But in this case, no one else that I know, any friends, anyone else got it. But yeah, I took some time this week to just rest and focus. So if you didn't see too much of me on social, that was why. And let me just start by saying that I don't want the whole overflow of like annoying. And I'm being real here. I'm not saying you all are annoying. I'm not saying that. It's just that I typically am very adverse to the over concern and emotional dumping that people do sometimes when people reveal or share any type of difficulties. I don't like it. I don't. It's my own personal pet peeve. I'm not saying that, everybody's the same, but I don't like it. I like to have privacy, especially, given that there's a lot of things going on in the world. And I'm not saying I'm not worthy of care, but I have certain people in my life that I designate to provide that kind of care for me. And I am very big on boundaries and I'm very big on respecting privacy and space. That's just my core. And it's not that, I guess in the words of an idiot named Drake, it wasn't that I was hiding my child from the world. I was hiding the world from my child. I'm being facetious. No, it's just that for me, I'm being frank, I have recognized that people will not, people will, when it comes to dealing with a conflict, a personal conflict or a physical ailment or whatever, I typically like to go to experts. I like to go to people who are reliable. I like to go to people who I personally trust and know to do it. And I don't like when people center themselves in other people's shit. So if I didn't tell you, I didn't call you, I didn't say that, it's not that I don't care about you, it's not that I don't like you, because it's not about you. It's the fact that I was in a position of I needed urgent care and I wanted to prioritize the designated people in my life to take care of it. I'm not really big on having the whole hood know all of my, whatever. If I, sick or something, why does everyone need to know? Why? I'm never that person. I don't like the Queen Elizabeth treatment of the whole everybody's, I like to have respect and space. If there's a situation where I think it rises to a crisis level where I do feel like I'm going to need to, call in the troops and there needs to be a situation like that, oh, trust and believe, I will do that. But I think personally, I've seen a lot on social media that I've learned from and other people's ways of how they've dealt with personal difficulties. And I've recognized what turned me off and what turns me on. I don't know if turn me on is appropriate, but more like what is ideal in those situations and what's not. And it's also just my great upbringing. I'm not afraid to ask for help, but I know who to ask help from. I'm not afraid to be vulnerable and share experiences, but I like to also be thoughtful and considerate about it. I'm also mindful of the world that I live in. There are people who don't have access to good health care. They don't have, proper mediators and facilitators and folks to make sure they're okay. And so I don't like taking up space in situations that don't require me to. I think there's a lot of people who I think is obsessed with martyrdom. Like they love to, be the person that shares and overshares any type of obstacle, and they need all of these people to stop, drop, and give them their undivided attention. I don't like that. I personally don't. I don't need it. I feel validated by the family I have and the support team I have and the friends I have that I'm mindful of that. And I also think it's important too to recognize that everybody has their own way of responding and adjusting to their own difficulties. It's not personal. It's not why can't I? Well, because if you make it about yourself and you talk about yourself and you think about why you this, why that, then you're also not considering the agency of the individual that's being afflicted. And so I think it's very important to respect people's boundaries, don't take anything personal, and understand that there's a larger world that does not revolve around your ability to know something and somebody getting the help that they need. So what I needed, I got. I was blessed. I was fortunate to get, have a good rapid response team. When it came to my health, I was very happy that I was able to get immediate treatment and get on a path of being on the mend. I'm pretty much there. I'm still taking it easy, but I will be, 1,000% fully recovered by the end of this upcoming week. But so far I'm pretty good. And I don't need to be handled like a China doll. I don't need anybody to give me extra worrying and all that messaging and please don't. It actually annoys me. I'm just being honest. I would rather, I do believe in a separation between work and the personal and all those things. And I really think that, learning from the professionals that I know, the people I look up to in the industry, I understand even more now why people decide to do that, because people just don't know how to act. People don't know how to act. People don't know how to react and respond. And you find yourself, even in your own detriment or your own, health or whatever, struggle, whatever, you find yourself still having to worry and consider responding to everybody. So I needed that space. I was like, no, I'm not going to post anything on social, because if I do that, then I'm going to have hundreds of people respond on social. Then I'm going to get all the text messages. Do you need something? Do you need something? And you're going to get all, and then I'm going to spend so much time feeling crappy that I didn't fucking respond to a message or to, one person's, text or something. And then it just becomes a performative thing rather than actually focusing on what should matter, which is my fucking well-being at the moment. So I have definitely, have practiced what I preached. I'm very grateful for my friends. I'm very grateful for the people that, knew what was going on, kept me in their thoughts and prayers, made sure I was fine, and gave me the ability to just move forward. So that's what I'm doing. But I know some of you all were wondering about the episode, but none of you all bugged or complained or anything. I was, you guys were just like, oh, shorter, but that was it. And I appreciate that, because real talk, before that episode, I didn't even expect, um, I didn't even expect that it was going to be that. I mean, I felt a little queasy, but I didn't expect it to go down like that. So it was quite a lesson. My advice to everybody: wash your hands. Wash your hands. I know the CDC is out here acting crazy right now in the name of capitalism, talking about there don't gotta be distancing or isolation as much with COVID now. Listen, I don't tell people not to listen to the CDC, but I just think when it comes to situations like that, use common sense, use your better judgment, because at the end of the day, they don't care at a certain extent about the liabilities because they're trying to boost the economy. Be smart. Be smart. Just be smart. Wash your hands. What happened to me wasn't even it wasn't preventable. It just happened. And I think with norovirus, it really is a situation of just, it's out there. It's widespread down the Northeast. But I would just tell people, just wash your hands. I'm being more, I've been washing my hands. I just think it's more about me just being mindful about where I go out. I'm definitely going to be slowing down on going out to eat this month at least, even when fully recovered, because what I experienced this past week, listen, I had all kind of thoughts. Okay, I'm talking food thoughts. I was like, do I want to still keep eating meat? Should I be a vegan? Like, I had all kind of thoughts. I mean, I think now that my appetite has regained and my head is right. I'm not as, but I'm telling you, I had moments I was like, I'm not drinking ever again. Lies. But I had those moments because there were times where it was just so overbearing. Like the experience. Anybody who has had it or know about it or know someone who's had it, you don't want it. If you can avoid it, avoid it. But if you get it, go to the emergency room, go to a doctor, go to your public care, drink you some water, get you some fluids, stay your ass in the house, stay yourself isolated, tell your manager, your boss, you can't come in because it's, contagious, but take that time. You can't even work yourself through it. I tried at some points throughout the week, I was thinking, maybe I need to rest. I needed to rest. I needed to recuperate. And that's really what it is. I needed to recuperate. So yeah, I mean, I'm almost there. I mean, I feel I can function, I can walk, I can move. I'm my restroom flow is operating the way it's supposed to be operating. And I'm doing my checkups with my doctor and, doing what I need to do. So shout out to good healthcare benefits. Shout out to all that, people. I'm serious. Healthcare is important. Now that I'm in my 30s, I feel like I appreciate it more than I did in my 20s. In my 20s, I was just like, yeah, annual checkup, whatever. But now, please, I'm not, listen. If I have it, use it. If you have a doctor, a primary care physician, use them, baby, because what's your insurance money going to? What you paying all these, use them. If something don't feel right, I'm not saying be a hypochondriac, but if there's stuff out of your reach, things that a 7-Up cannot fix or a ginger ale, go to the doctor. Go to the doctor. Go to the doctor. If you can, right? If you have the resources and means. Don't try to be Superman. Don't try to be, oh, I can knock. We passed that. The holistic health shit. Go to a professional. Because me 5 years ago, I would have probably tried to do a ginger ale and a Tylenol and knock myself out and go to bed. I would have still been going through it had I did it that way. Going to a doctor and finding out, oh, you're nauseous. Like, this is nauseous. And actually, you need to take this for motion sickness so that you can control, your projectile, oralness. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to say the V word, but you know what I mean? I'm so happy I did that because I began to recover and feel much better because I knew what was wrong. And when I knew what was wrong, there was an app for that. There was a medication for that. And that made all the difference. But sometimes we try to do all these magical teas and tea bark and all that shit. Listen, when it comes to stuff like that, what I was experiencing, I said, oh no, I can't play. I'm taking my ass right to HUP, okay, the Hospital, University of Pennsylvania. That's my doctor, that's my hospital, that's my place. And I let the experts do what they do. I'm not trying to be a doctor. I'm not trying to, I let the pros do what they do. I think that's the theme of this year in general. We need to let the pros do what they do, y'all. We need to let journalists be journalists. We need to let psychiatrists be psychiatrists. We need to let mechanics be mechanics. We need to let, legislators legislate. We need to let people do what they do, And if you don't know what you do, you don't know your lane, go find you a lane and read a book and study and be an expert in whatever lane you're trying to be in. But I'm not trying to be Dr. Queen Medicine Woman. I'm not playing these games anymore. I am, taking a lot of control over my health and my wellness. That's been a big theme for my year this year. I have been really big on that. People have, seen me in public. They're like, oh, you slimming down. Okay, cool. I guess I am. I've lost some weight. I've been on my own journey. Pretty much part of it is because I'm just not going out eating a lot at restaurants. Like, I'm not going to restaurants like 4 times a week like I did last year. When I started at Eater in July, baby, I didn't say no to no restaurant. Okay. Every restaurant that said you want to come through, can I get a reservation? I got a reservation. I just felt like I had to eat the whole city. And I did. Josh eats Philly. I ate Philly too. But what came with that was I had gained a lot of weight. And there's nothing wrong. And let me be clear. Let me just say this because I know people will get caught up in all kind of stuff. I'm not fat phobic. I'm not telling people how to live their life and how to eat. If that's what you want to do, that's your prerogative. I just felt like for me, I had gotten to a point where I didn't feel like myself. And I felt like, is that because of a mood? What's causing this? And I just started looking at my obligations, like what I was prioritizing in my time, what I felt like I had to do. And I realized, okay, we can cut this out. We can make some changes. And so I started looking at my calendar in January. And when I looked at my calendar in January, initially I said, wow, I'm going to 4 to 5 happy hours or restaurant tastings and brunches a week. This ain't sustainable. So I said, okay, what do I have to do to cut back? I start picking them. I said, okay, what are the places that I should be going to? I need to go to. Do I have to go to this? Do I have to go to this event? Do I have to do that? Or am I just going because I feel like I have to? No. And so when I started looking at my list, I started being like, okay, 1 or 2. I could do 2. And then I start designating my staffers and my interns to go to other places I couldn't go to, or I didn't want to go to. And that was how I started finding balance. And just making that lifestyle change in January and in February, I started to realize how that weight came off. I said, oh, because I wasn't doing an intense workout. I mean, I have my watch, which Mr. Johnson got me, and I'm pulling in, on average 15,000 steps a day. And that's because I walk a lot in general. Like I'm always moving. Even at home, I'm on the phone. I'm never seated talking on the phone. I'm oftentimes walking around the house and going up and down. I'm making runs and errands and things. So that was big upon me. The steps. And then just, drinking water, more water, staying hydrated more. Eating more at the house. Because I'm not going out to restaurants now, I'm eating more at the house, and that made a big difference. And just cutting the overeating. And since doing that, I've seen some changes in a good way. All good. But Norovirus, y'all, just woo. I mean, that just said, okay, we're gonna take an additional 7 pounds off of you. Now, I most likely will gain that back, which is fine. I don't care. But I think I lost 7 pounds from all the craziness last week. But I'm taking it easy. I'm taking it easy. And I'm happy that it's nothing else underlying or anything else. It was just this horrible stomach. And I haven't gotten COVID, y'all. That's me knocking on a wooden table. That was the thing for me. Like, I never got COVID, but I get this. Never got COVID. Nope. No COVID. COVID didn't come around here. But Norovirus did. So, be smart. Be safe. Wash your hands. Take it easy. Just be vigilant. I'm just waiting for spring to hurry up and come so the sun can come out and, homeostasis and photosynthesis and all the other things to keep the world on balance and, get this nasty virus up out of here. So on to big topics. So this upcoming week is Super Tuesday. I'm super excited about Super Tuesday. There's a lot been happening. There's been a major shakeup. If you all have been living on a rock, you might not know this, but Nikki Haley has won her first Republican primary. She won in D.C. 60% of the vote she got in D.C. Is this a momentum? Is this a changing of the guard? Super Tuesday's coming up. There's going to be a bunch of states. She lost South Carolina. She lost Michigan. She lost a couple other states before Super Tuesday. Now, Super Tuesday is big because it is a bunch of states all together. And there's going to be a lot of opportunities to get, by the end of next week, if Trump is on a perfect status, he could clinch the nomination without having to fight at a Republican convention. But Nikki Haley's moving up. DC's, one place, but it's getting very telling about what's going on over there, because at first she didn't win anything. Now she's got one win under her belt. Will there be more on Super Tuesday? We'll find out. But it ain't looking that good for Trump. He's still the front runner to get the nomination, but there just seems to be an interesting tide. I keep telling you all, for some reason, I'm not sold on his whole situation. I mean, conventional wisdom would tell me that Trump will get the nomination, but then there's a part of me that feels like it's just too much ambiguity going on right now that I don't necessarily know if I'm sold on him. Because there's some stuff coming out about, he's got a lot of stuff going on legally that is starting to hit a ceiling. So for starters, he did, we talked about the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is going to look over Trump's presidential immunity. It's happening. I thought they would want to get away from the drama and steer away from it because I don't know how they're going to. I mean, there's a majority conservative slate on the Supreme Court, but I'm wondering, will this Supreme Court act like the president really has that immunity? I don't think they are. But what he is getting is the delay, because at this point, it looks like the likelihood of a verdict in that case will not happen until after the November 5th election, the general election, the presidential election. So he is banking on, not having to go to trial for it or the trial having a verdict yet. The timetable keeps moving, but it looks like, the Supreme Court gave him the delay that he wanted. But I think they're going to end up ruling against him. And so that's going to force him to have to go to trial. And if he's forced to go to trial, then we'll get the results. I don't know. We might get October surprise, maybe. Some people think it's going to be 6 to 8 week trial. Some people say it's going to be 8 to 10 weeks. We don't know. But what we do now know is the Supreme Court is assigned to look at this. And I don't even understand why. But then I'm like, I do know why. Because it's Republicans dominating the courts. I mean, the appeals circuit already said unanimously that there's no protection for a president, dealing with criminal charges. The president is not protected from criminal charges. Like if you are being accused of doing something, breaking the law, just because you're the president at the time doesn't mean you're immune. Because then pretty much the president could do whatever he wants. Where's the standard? Where does the line start and begin? That's something, those are questions that the Supreme Court is going to have to answer. But I just find that to be very telling. We'll see. But in other issues that Trump has going on, Trump has lost his bond request following the fraud trial that he had. This man is looking like he ain't got no money. I don't think he got the money. He's close to, he owes $500 million in settlements, stuff that he has to pay, fines and fees and shit. He tried to request a bond, or he tried to do a bond request, and they said no. Now, let me explain all this. This is about the Trump organization. He also had a situation with E. Jean Carroll. He's got that massive pay he has to pay. The state AG, Letitia James, basically said that they will have to, cease his assets. That if he can't find the actual financial means, he's going to have to give up some, they're going to have to freeze some assets. This ain't no joke. This is not a joke. So to people who are sitting here looking like, oh, he's a billionaire, I don't even know what that means anymore. I don't know. I mean, what kind of billionaire? Because, there's a lot of conversations on Fox News and on media. Oh, he's worth billions of dollars. He's got money this, he got money that. But he's asking for these bond requests, and he's asking to try to broker certain deals and stuff. And the judge like, no, you lost your case. You don't get to now negotiate and do an art of the deal like it's real estate. You actually now have to answer to the court. The law says you have to pay this. There's no ifs, ands, and buts. There's no deals. If you want to do that, you should have did that before the trial. You should have went to mediation. But see, he was so arrogant that he just thought, oh, he's above the law. He'll be okay. He don't give a care what anyone says. He don't got to follow this. He's above it, And so he thought he could just do whatever he wanted to. He's learning now that that's not the case. And so now I predict that he's not going to have the money. He doesn't have cash on hand to pay all this. He's going to have to sell some houses, sell some property, sell some assets, because that's a big deal. And an interesting thing is that is why the whole conversation about Laura Trump, which is his daughter-in-law, Laura Trump is married to one of his sons. She has thrown her bid in to be chairperson of the Republican National Committee, the RNC. If that happens, the goal is that now she can prioritize whatever monetary, contributions they do to prioritize protecting Trump. So that means that the party can spend money on his legal fees. Trump needs her in this position because she will decide and influence how the RNC's money will be spent. And they could, because he's a candidate, the money could go towards his legal fees. That's where we are. We're at a point where a presidential candidate could literally, and I mean literally, a presidential candidate could literally get his legal fees paid for by the political party to which he's seeking a nomination. The ghetto, my friends, the ghetto. I'm sitting here like, this is the ghetto. Like, this is ghetto as hell. Like, you out here trying to be the leader of this party, trying to get the nomination, and you telling these people, well, why are you at it? Can y'all pay these legal fees so I could actually be able to run? Where they do that at? All I know is if Tim Scott tried to pull something like that, it would not happen. They would have told Tim Scott, you're on your own. Okay? And you know what else they would have said too? But they would have been like, you're on your own. Okay? I just think it's ridiculous. Like, for a man who's talked so much shit about people, pulling themselves up out of bootstraps and find a way. This is welfare. This is Lelway. This is everything that goes against the Reagan Republican, era that they've preached. They're not even a Reagan party anymore. They're not the party of Reagan anymore. They're something else now. The Republican Party has lost its way. There used to be a time where, people thought, maybe, there used to be, the Mitt Romney era, where people said, oh, if it was Obama and Mitt Romney, I could live in a world with Mitt Romney being president. Where we at right now, we can't live with Trump being president again. We couldn't live the last time with him, This is a whole nother level of foolery. And I can understand why anybody would not want to give him any money, because it ain't gonna go. The money ain't gonna go to supporting his campaign. The money gonna go to keeping him out of jail or keeping him able to sue. Like I said, that's the ghetto for me. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. All this talk about the art of the deal. Child, that's the art of the steal, baby. That's the art of the steal. It's going to be very interesting to see how he navigates, this new terrain. I don't like it, but stranger things have happened. So the State of the Union is on Thursday. And this is about Biden. Biden's having an interesting experience, but Biden is having a very interesting period. If Trump wasn't so bad, well, let me rephrase. If Trump wasn't running for president right now on the Republican side and he wasn't the front runner and Nikki was the front runner, I don't know what to tell Biden if that was the case. Something happened in Michigan last week that really caught my eye. There were over 100,000 votes in Michigan that were uncommitted to supporting Biden. Now, Biden outright won the primary in Michigan, but there were 100,000 voters that were uncommitted to him. And a lot of this was led by, people in Ann Arbor, a large Palestinian voter bloc, that's in and around Ann Arbor. They have one of the second largest, I think the largest Muslim population in the United States is in Michigan. And there was a huge, campaign that took place over there during the primaries about not committing to Biden. And let me just say that even though Biden had won, that's a large ass number. And there has been calls for him to call for a ceasefire. There's been calls for him to take a different turn on this current issue and this current crisis in the Middle East. And on Sunday, Vice President Kamala Harris, where the iconic 59th anniversary of Bloody Sunday, which is a civil rights milestone, at the Edmund Petumas Bridge. This was the scene in Selma, if you all seen Selma, where a bunch of troopers and cops were hitting Black civil rights leaders in a peaceful march that was initially taking place. And it was so violent, it was so bloody. The late, great Congressman John Lewis was there. Others were there that we know throughout history. And it was known as Bloody Sunday. Well, Bloody Sunday 59th anniversary will be this upcoming Thursday. But on Sunday, there was a commemoration of sorts in Georgia, in Alabama. Well, it took place in Alabama, but there's been a lot of commemoration around civil rights movement because now we're here. This year is going to mark the 60th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act, which is also a major milestone. So Vice President Kamala Harris, she spoke, and she spoke very passionate and really called for a ceasefire. Apparently they're looking at 6 weeks, but apparently they want to push for more. But she outright said ceasefire, not humanitarian crisis pause, not, a moment to reflect, but she spoke specifically about a ceasefire. And this is the first, Biden, mentioned and referenced it a couple of days back, but VP Kamala Harris definitely was even more, hands down on it. A lot of people are trying to figure out, what does this mean? Why? I definitely think what happened in Michigan last week during the primary definitely made the administration have a moment to wake up and say, we can't continue to act like this is normal. Hamas is definitely a problem. No one said it isn't. But to act like the way that Israel is responding, to act like all of these innocent children and mothers and family in Gaza, that they deserve to have this collective suffering. It's just unacceptable. The Biden administration has already put out more money and resources to feed families. Immediate direct food drops have been dropped in Gaza, over the past couple of days. More relief is being done, but they're responding. We could easily argue that they should have responded much sooner, but they are. And it's a testament of a lot of people who have been in office, but also people in community who have said that, listen, why is there a if or then? Why can't there be a fight against Hamas without also denying the inhumane treatment that Gazians and Palestinians have faced? Like, you just can't, anyone with a heart or moral compass cannot, in their right consciousness, feel as though asking for humanitarian support and making sure that the people in Gaza are safe is anti-Semitic, ignores what Hamas did on October 7th, and is not showing any interest in Israel. Like, I think we have to fucking stop. And I'm talking about the people who want to keep creating this divisive rhetoric. Enough's enough. A lot of people have died. Yes, the hostages need to be free. Absolutely. But you don't kill an entire race of people based on a frustration with a terrorist group that has held some people for hostage. You don't do that. You don't. And it's inhumane. It's unethical. And the world is looking at us. The world is looking at how we're responding. And if supporting Israel means that you're going to allow for an entire group of people, of innocent people, to be killed and to starve and to be completely reduced of resources based off of a terrorist group, I question your humanity. Because it doesn't have to be an either or. It could be a yes and then some. You know, when September 11th happened and I was younger, I remember there was this immediate heightened level of anti-Muslim sentiment, Islamophobia. And people were like, oh, well, look what they did to us. Our Muslim brothers and sisters in the United States was not Al-Qaeda. They were not the they. They weren't. They were not the they. But we let people just keep running with these labels. And then that they became something else. We can't let history repeat itself. And I think, VP Kamala Harris was on a tightrope because I think she was making some strong points. But I think she also recognized that she had to still hold that political ground. Because there's a dance, right? There's a dance of that they have to do in the Biden administration. They don't want to publicly look like they're abandoning Israel, right? That's their ally, United States ally. But at the same time, they can't look like they're so beholden to any and everything that Israel was doing military-wise that will make them appear to be insensitive with the harm that is happening in Gaza. So there has to be a balance, and they're figuring out that balance. And I just hope that peace comes soon. I hope that the hostages get released. I hope that these families begin to, in Gaza begin to repair and be able to be in a safe environment, one that's not being operated and ran by Hamas. I hope that Bibi Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, really gets checked, respectfully, that a lot of his power that he has basically abused in certain cases, there are checks and balances. And Biden and has rebuked him in his behavior. And I hope that there is more of that to come, because I've never seen in recent years the United States have an ally that was just whatever, right? Like, it's almost like Bibi's not listening to anyone's advice. And I hope he do, because in the days to come, with everything that's happening around the world, I do hope that he is willing to come to the table. And I hope that Hamas recognizes that the people that they claim to care about, they're hurting in this process. Nobody's winning. No one's really winning. This is a senseless, hurtful war. I don't know who's winning right now on either side. Keep your eyes open. Keep your hearts open. Hopefully we get to that ceasefire sooner than later. Well, it's the end of an era. Mitch McConnell is stepping down from political leadership. He is the Senate leader, Republican Senate leader. He has announced that he's not going to go through with that. after November elections, I believe. He is not going to seek leadership after the November presidential election. Now, it's still up in the air if he's going to run for re-election for Senate, which I hope he doesn't. I think he's dropping little crumbs. He's not doing too well health-wise, and you can tell. I mean, the videos tell you everything you need to see. But he's been in leadership for a long time. But his work is done. I think his damage is done. I mean, his influence on the Supreme Courts, I mean, he has done enough. Who's next in leadership? We don't know. I mean, whatever comes out of these presidential elections, which you all know is not just presidential, it's also a Senate race, and there's some congressional seats up for grab, right? Will determine the future of both parties and what happens with the House. It would be nice to see Democrats have a stronger takeover of the House and the Senate. And right now we have control over the Senate, but we don't have control over the House. And it's obvious that with the current Speaker, Mike Johnson, he's a temporary fix because some of these people got to lose seats. I would love to see the Democrats take back the House because it'll be easy to get a speaker. We all know that Hakeem Jeffries would be the next speaker if Democrats took over the House. But if Republicans do, we don't know if Mike Johnson's going to get it again. He's a mess. They found this guy from out of nowhere in I believe, Louisiana. He's just going with the flow. He's a clown. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But McConnell announcing his departure from leadership in the months to come is a sign, because but it also, I will say about him, is that he does not like the direction of the Republican Party. I mean, he is an extremist himself. It's part of his fault, actually. It's actually his fault, and he's going to have to live with that for the rest of his life. He created a party that was so unbearable that now he can't even function in it. He actually has so much to be cool that now he's out of school. So I doubt he's going to run for Senate. Again, I don't think he's running for re-election. I mean, I think they're acting like he is, but at the rate he's going, I doubt it. I mean, I really do. I mean, it's, we're talking about the end of an era. He's the minority leader of the U.S. Senate right now. He's 82 years old. He just turned 82 last month. What's going on? He got to find a successor. He's got to find somebody fast. So I do want to take a little bit of time to talk about what happened in Philly over the weekend. There was this traffic stop with a state trooper that involved Selena Morrison, who is a Black trans woman who is the Office of LGBT Affairs Director, and her husband, Darius McLean, who's a Black trans man. They were apparently stopped over some issues with their car. I think there was an issue around lights or something, inspection or something on nation. It's kind of frivolous, but they were stopped because there were some code violations with their car. Nothing immediately harmful, nothing that involved weapons or drugs, any of that. It was raining. It was a raining Saturday morning. The trooper, there was a viral video that Selena Morrison videotaped that showed her husband being arrested out in the rain. The state trooper, who was a white man, was very, very aggressive, cursing, telling her to shut the fuck up, yelling, just being extremely aggressive. It was painful to watch. I don't really like to watch videos like that because it is traumatic. Only reason why I watched this video was because I was informed clearly that no one got killed, because I refuse to watch a video of a Black person being killed. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I can't I can't watch any more videos that do, because people always make the argument, the trauma porn of it all, like the, oh, you got to watch it. No, I don't. No, I don't. I still have not watched the George Floyd video fully. I don't need to. And there's people who love to, I mean, I get it, right? People want to share videos as proof, but have some fucking humanity, people. I think, I just find it so racist and so frustrating that when Black people are subjected to brutality, we have to have a video or we won't be believed. I can't tell you how many stories of white women or anyone, right, that will share stories of being groped or being harassed or being violated. And we hear those stories, we read those stories, but we don't have to see them. We don't have to see the video. We don't have to see the graphicness of it all. We just hear that story, we believe them, and we can move forward. For whatever reason, we're still in a society that is obsessed with seeing Black suffering as a means to confirm a truth. And what it tells us is that without the video, then people won't believe. If Selena Morrison would have never filmed what happened, but would have shared her story, I would have believed her. The question is, for everyone else, would you? And it's so interesting because there's so many feminists that will say believe women. And not just believe women when it comes to rape and sexual abuse, but believe women in acts of racial trauma. A Black trans woman shared a story. She videotaped it. But I didn't have to watch that video in its entirety to understand what had happened. I believe her. I believe her husband. From what I did see in the video, the aggression was too much. I mean, you don't have to curse at those individuals. You don't have to, the physical pushing. I mean, this individual was harmless. This person had no weapon on them. They were in the rain, handcuffed. Selena says that when she was telling him repeatedly that she worked for the mayor, and kept saying that, and it hurt to hear it, because in some ways it's a shame. It's a shame because it should not matter who you work for or who you're connected to for a police officer to stop. And this was a state trooper, let me be clear. It should not matter what your social status is to be treated as a citizen. And what it also showed us in that video was the cops don't care. They don't care how educated you are. They don't care what type of job you have, how connected you are. When they have you under their possession, it is what it is. She threw every type of credential she could to demand a stop, and it didn't stop. They were charged with resisting arrest and all these other things, disturbance and all this crap. But what's interesting is I hope to God they get dropped, which I believe they will. I hope they do. Because the reality is that officer antagonized them and did the most to justify the behavior. It's very obvious in his whole entire demeanor, his structure, that he was trying to justify additional harm. what's even more disappointing is that there was a law that was passed called driving equality not too long ago, a couple years back. And driving equality was supposed to be was proposed by council member at large Isaiah Thomas, and it was supposed to stop police officers on highways from extras, police stops based on things like broken tail lights and things like that. The problem is that there's a loophole in that policy. The loophole is that because they were on an intersection of a state highway, that law did not protect them from state troopers. So had this been, on a street in Philadelphia around Center City and there was a police officer, that would have been a different experience, possibly through the law. Because of the fact that, yes, it was Philadelphia, but it was on a state intersect highway. And it was a state trooper, not a Philadelphia police officer, who did the stop. That law did not protect them. You cannot legislate yourself out of police injustice. No matter how many times we think we can, we can't. It just makes me think about the Crown Act. The Crown Act that got accepted in Texas. But that 17-year-old teenager who's been consistently suspended, right, for wearing his hair in braids, apparently the Crown Act does not protect his particular situation. We make laws that have loopholes. We make laws that we think is going to make the impact, but then we find out that it can't even protect the very people that actually work for the fucking city. Mayor Parker has said that she's deeply concerned about what she's seen in the video. She said she's not giving further comment until there's a full investigation, but she's looking into the matter. I know that Selena and her husband Darius are now at home. They're safe. They're warm. My thoughts and prayers go out to them. I hope they get the best legal support. Yeah. I think that incident just reminds me, that as much as we want these laws to fix things, there's bigger fish to fry. Or we got to get better. I mean, it's just like, so what? A new law? We got to do a new statewide law. We got to ask Governor Shapiro, do a new state law. Mr., state FOP in Dorsey. We think that's going to change something? I don't want to be pessimistic. I'm just saying that there has to be another conversation. It needs to be something else, because where we're at right now, we're just in this weird time machine. So, so speaking of legislation and policy, a big thing just happened over the weekend. So, for a while, I've been following the state rep races that are happening. The primaries in April, so everybody's getting all excited for April 22nd. My good friend, Andre Carroll, did the unthinkable this weekend. He got a nomination from the Philadelphia Democratic Party. He got nominated, which is shocking. So for those who have not been following his race, he is on track to be the second openly Black gay state rep in Pennsylvania history. Of course, you all know the first is Malcolm Kenyatta, who is currently running for Auditor General, despite the fact never having an auditor background. He's expected to win the primary because the Pennsylvania State Committee has endorsed him. But the general election seems to be up in the air because he is going against the incumbent, another black man named Timothy DeFleur. And Timothy DeFleur has a background in auditing, so that should be interesting. But moving on to Andre D. Carroll. He's a progressive. He's 33 years old. He ran previously in 2022 against Stephen Kinsey, who was then the incumbent. It was a narrow race. Kinsey came out on top, but it was a close race. This time around, Kinsey announced his retirement, which made the seat open. And so now he's going against a woman named Selena, not Selena Morrison, but another Selena, which is interesting because everyone thought that because he was endorsed by the Working Families Party, because he had bucked against the establishment 2 years ago, that his likelihood of getting a Democratic nomination wasn't going to happen. And I mean, a lot of people expect he's going to win this race. He's got some massive endorsements from the likes of Senator Sharif Street, Council Member at Large Isaiah Thomas, Council Member at Large Kendra Brooks, and Council Member at Large Nicholas O'Rourke. State Senator Nikhil Saval has endorsed him, and he's got endorsed by Planned Parenthood and other groups. I mean, he has been since this time around the front runner, but it was interesting to see how the Democratic establishment was going to respond to him. Well, that is out the window. He has gotten the nomination, which means that at this point there is a strong, super strong chance and likelihood that he will be the next state rep over there in the Germantown area. The Northwest Coalition came behind him. He's got a nice coalition of support. And so it's going to be really interesting to see this. I mean, I am excited personally because one, I think Andre Carroll is good for politics. I think he's, we need someone young. We need someone that's, progressive. We need someone that's, Black. And we need somebody that have lived experience and also the governmental experience. He has both. That, somebody who wants to do the job. I think what I'm excited about the most is seeing a state rep that's from my community that isn't trying to chase cameras all day. Not all representation is good representation. Malcolm Kenyatta did something historic when he became the first openly Black gay state rep. But the problem is that outside of making history, he hasn't really made much legislation. He hasn't, ever since he's won that seat, he's had his eyes on another seat. And, that's kind of weird to me because I'm like, when do you want to savor the moment to focus on your district? I mean, you're representing North Philly, an area that's being hit hard with poverty and gun violence. He's a Temple alum. He knows the issues over there, but he has spent so much of his energy and his time trying to chase after the national spotlight. MSNBC appearances, he got married for a second time. He is, just trying to be a rock star, which is cool. But like right now, it does feel as though from residents that live in North Philly that I've spoken to, that it looks like he's neglecting his district. He has challengers right now running for the seat. He's projected to be the winner. I don't think he's going to lose. But it's just nice to have an alternative example in Harrisburg that represents, Black queer people. And I think Andre Carroll is that example because I think just previous gay state reps in general, Black or white, with Brian Sims and Malcolm, it's just been nothing but, Brian is no longer a state rep, but when he was, it was always headlines and TV appearances and magazine covers. And, at a certain point, you just got to be like, okay, where's the real work? We want to see that work. I mean, personally, that's what I want to see. I mean, all this other shit is for the birds. But, voters got to decide. So I wasn't really going to talk more about this, but I did think this was something that interesting came up. Everyone's talking about, Diddy. Diddy got some new allegations of sexual misconduct. Apparently, a recent case with a producer on his last album. I really wonder how my friends feel. Some of my friends love the Love album by Diddy. Some people say it was one of his best albums in years. It got Grammy nominated. And they were really feeling the album. And now I wonder how they feel with everything that we found out about Diddy in the past couple of months. What a fall from grace. What's interesting about this, though, is that there has been some additional speculation, name droppings like Stevie J, hints of references like Meek Mill. But I want to talk about the Meek Mill situation specifically. So there's been, an allegation that Meek Mill and Diddy had some type of sexual relationship, and this is allegedly, and that allegedly there was a certain type of sex ring of underage girls that they were also bringing in the mix, and there was other folks named, in the story, in the court filing. And so when I was looking at that, I was like, oh, wow, like this shit feels like some Jeffrey Epstein type shit, allegedly. This is not good. But interesting enough, because the internet is immature or obsessively homophobic, the conversation was mostly fixated on the fact that Diddy or Meek Mill might be having sexual relations, allegedly. For starters, anyway, let me start with this. Meek had a huge, over the past week, tirade on social media, on Twitter, talking about his sex with women and how much he's into pussy, quote unquote, and how, he not like these weirdos that wear dresses. And he goes into a whole homophobic rant. Doth thou protest too much, my dear? Like, what is going on? And he's doing all this, but there's a part of me that's like, the internet, for the most part, is fixated on making these jokes about him and Diddy wearing matching satin shirts, about, this video where Meek is at the pool and Diddy is calling him daddy consistently. There's a lot of conversations about, just their whole little interactions and who knew and what's going on. And I'm just sitting here like, so the biggest thing Meek is worried about is being accused of being gay, but has not responded to these underage girls, have not responded to allegations of some level of trafficking them. No, not going to touch that. Not going to protect and defend my image as not being a pedophile. No, I need to protect this manhood I have as a cishet man, because clearly people care more about whether or not I'm having sex with another man than if I'm having sex allegedly with underage girls. That to me really pissed me off. I was like, so we don't care about nothing else that's being said here. Like, this man has made this accuser did a whole court filing and has connected you to some very heinous crimes, because let's be clear, being gay is not a crime in the United States. If him and Diddy got it in allegedly in Los Angeles or some shit, even if some fans might be devastated, I don't know why, it's none of your business, but even if some fans might have been devastated, none of that would trample over the reality of being compared in the same type of vein as R. Kelly and Jeffrey Epstein. Like, I would be more concerned about being accused of breaking the law and violating young girls as a father. I mean, Meek Mill is a father. I'll be more upset about being accused of violating young girls, underage girls, than I would actually be of, a couple of homophobic references. The priorities, people. That's all I got to say about that. Like, priorities. Like, why is that the thing that got you the most concerned? It's very telling. It's very telling. Hmm. Okay. So, and other terrible things, annoying things in black podcasting land with these idiots. Two idiots. I'm going to start off with Joe Budden. Joe Budden and Candace Owens is joining forces to do a podcast show. See what's going on, people? You see? You see? Didn't I tell you about this? I think I did. You all want to, listen to Joe Budden still and Patreon and subscribe and give this man your money? And he's interviewing Candace Owens. What does him and Candace Owens got to talk about? What's so important that Candace Owens is going to say on Joe Budden's, platform that is so important for Black people to know? I don't know what it is about these middle-aged Black men and their infatuation with Candace Owens. I think there's something, they like putting her on because they agree with her. I'm going to call it like it is. They like putting her on because she's going to say the things that they are scared to say themselves. Because as much as Freudian slip, Joe Budden likes to pretend that he is, tell like it is, unfiltered. He's a coward. And having Candace Owens on the show, what's the point? It's like a fetish. It's like is it the mindset of I'm going to school her and I'm going to check her? This woman is an Owens. Any Owens in the world understands that you can't check them and you don't want to, because if you try to start an argument with an Owens, they're going to Owens you down, baby. They're going to wear you out. Which is why you just don't even need to waste your time. He's wasting his time here. I mean, or not. Part of me feels like he wants to have a viral moment. I feel like we've entered the Shannon Sharp of theatrics and stunts, where now everybody wants to have these guests. And Candace benefits from it, because at the end of the day, whatever Candace is doing, however she's doing it, she's making money. She's staying relevant. And honestly, whether Trump's in office or not in office, she's got her baseline of people. She is a grifter. She knows how to keep the podcast going, keep the people talking. She knows how to make her coins. She knows how to, get people riled up. And that's her strength. So I'm not surprised, but I'm just kind of like, why are you all so predictable? Why? I'm not listening to it. I'm not watching it. I heard it was coming up. But I also want to tell you all that this is what we're seeing. There's so many other thoughtful people you can bring on that show. But this is who you bring on the show. Oh, they want to meet voters where they are. Who wants to meet Candace? I'll leave it there. And then, of course, Charlemagne the God, the political maverick, right? The guy who is so different, so reformed. He's growing up. He's evolving. Yeah. This week, he was on his show, The Breakfast Club, and basically made this attack towards this Black woman. Her name is... I didn't finish all of it, but this is the Risa Tessa, or Risa Tisi. She did a video about her husband lying to her. Who the Fuck Did I Marry was I believe it was the name of this like 50-part video series that was like 500 minutes long, and she talks about her husband lying to her and going through what she's going through. I just want to say this before I talk about where Charlemagne the God and Less Hilarious, not Just Hilarious, did. I don't, like, what happened to her is unfortunate. Her sharing her story was bold, her own way. I'm just personally getting tired of how folks are using social media. This isn't going to change. It's my pet peeve to like air all of their personal business on social media. And it's hard to believe that a person do it. And I'm not saying people do it for clout, but I mean, I just think there's just ways to do things. And sometimes I wonder that for people who are in community that are, in adversity, that are struggling, that's living in different, circumstances, they don't have a support system, they don't have a counselor, they don't have friends to talk to, that for people in those circumstances, they use social media as a diary. And they use it as a way to, share their experiences, tell their stories, blah, blah, blah. But then there's also a part of it where I do feel like you do that, right? You share all that. But then when the backlash come, then people talk about how depressed they are, how stressful, how much they're hurt. And, respectfully so, ain't nobody told you to go on the internet and tell all your business. I mean, to a certain extent, no one deserves to be bullied. No one deserves to be hurt. But also recognizing that it's about being proactive and being realistic. How do you expect to tell a story like that and there not to be backlash? Yeah, there'll be some triumph, but then there will also be backlash. And if you're a person that's already in a vulnerable state, emotionally and physically in all these different spaces, do you really want, that to be going on, that's, that's very telling. So I have thoughts. I definitely have thoughts. Really. You know. Mm-mm-mm. Because I think that to a certain extent, like with me, I know there's some stuff I'm not going to share on the internet. Because I know how this internet works. Because I'm a part of this internet. And I feel like there are people that do want to go viral. They don't want to admit it. But they look at it as an opportunity, as a cry for help. But then, stuff happens based off of that. And I get it. Every time people have these out of body experiences and these crazy moments, but like sometimes you just have to consider how many people are going to get impacted by it. As now who I am doing what I do, I think a lot about what positions I take publicly, what I say publicly, because I recognize that I have other people in my life that could be implicated by it. It's not to say I'm going to be silent, but it's just like knowing when to pick your battles and understanding how much you can take and endure for something. And so I just want to lay that foundation down before I get into what happened. So there was drama. Charlemagne the God basically has been getting dragged, him and Less Hilarious, because he decided to weigh in on this situation on his show. This man is 45 years old, by the way. And he's going to say basically that she's a big back, which has been this new term being used to describe people who are plus size and, overweight. So, if you have a big back, it's another way of saying you got a lot of fat behind your back or whatever. And it's a way to basically, insult people who are larger in size. And so he said, quote, on the show, this woman believed all of this because she wanted to believe all of this. Big back belief isn't like everybody else's belief. She said it herself. He said everything I wanted to hear. She wanted to believe whatever was coming out of his mouth because she wanted a man so bad. And so, Jess Hilarious was feeding this nonsense, which is very telling because we're starting to realize, which we already knew, that Jess Hilarious is no Angela Yee. Now, Angela Yee had her problems too, but I feel like Jess wants to be one of the boys in the fact that she wants to also double down insults and attacks and disrespect other black women. Like she's going to be their, North Star to continue to perpetuate the problematic stereotypes. So she's no ally to other women because she played along with it, referring to her as a big back and joining into the banter. And Charlemagne, running with this logic. And I think what Charlemagne was trying to do was imply that because she was big, right, because she was a bigger woman in size, that she wanted a man so bad that's why she allowed herself to get played. Because what he was trying to imply is that bigger women aren't desirable enough to have agency to get out of a relationship. That bigger women are so desperate for a man that they'll believe anything someone will tell them. It was very fatphobic. It was very misogynistic. There's a lot of misogynoir there because, once again, he has so much mouth for black women. And this is the same man who continues to be platformed by other black women to talk about politics. But this is y'all king. Angela Rye, Joy-Ann Reid, Tiffany Cross, right? This is the guy that you all want to align yourselves with, a man who is quick to, really disparage a black woman on her size in a conversation that really did not require those insults at all. So she went on Tamron Hall's show and shared her experience, and she referenced him without naming him, but basically said that the comments that he made was very upsetting and that she was hurt by them and just really was just like, well, why what does my size have to do with what happened to me? It's almost as if he was trying to imply that she deserved it. But again, this is the Charlemagne the God that everyone wants to act like is so reformed and so different. So, another week, another reminder that Charlemagne the God is trash. But I digress. So moving on, this week's Ask Ernest was very cute. And I thought it was funny because it was on my mind the whole weekend. Someone asked me simply, I know that you like to talk about, billionaire class and wealth and riches. What did you think about Rihanna performing as a billionaire for another billionaire for $10 million? I saw the video of her performance and it seemed not worth the $1 million that she got paid. How do you feel about the performance? How do you feel about this whole billionaires doing billionaire parties and the whole class issues with that? Well, that's a lot of questions, but I'm going to give you a big old summary. So Rihanna's a billionaire. That's correct. She performed for around, there's been numbers of $6 million, $9 million, I hear, for her to perform, in India, for this billionaire's son's birthday. And she decided to go out there and perform. She's not the first to do this. This is very, there's a lot of artists that have performed, have been given fat paychecks to perform for rich people. Many years ago, you can look this up, Beyonce performed for Gaddafi. Yes, that Gaddafi. This was like 15 years ago. Maybe longer than that, but over 15 years ago. But she performed for Gaddafi many years ago and got a nice fat check. I mean, she just performed for like $20-something million in Dubai. And that was very controversial. And, when you get in that type of bag, that kind of foreign money, that's some serious money. I'm not crazy about it. Personally, I don't think, I find it interesting. But about her performance itself, I thought it was hilarious that she didn't give them her all. I thought that's quintessential Rihanna, because it's like she will go up there, she'll dance, she'll do her thing, and I enjoyed it though. There was a video of her doing cake, and she did her iconic pat. And for those who know what I'm talking about with the pat, she did the pat a lot during the Talk That Talk era. when she would, spread her legs and do a little pussy pat, they would call it. But she did that little pat, so she's back. People was talking about her dancing and this. Listen, I think they liked it. To get Rihanna performing anywhere in this day and age, you better count your blessings. I thought it was a good look. I said, oh, wow, maybe she's warming up. It took me back to her Hackney days. Anybody who remember Hackney, what a show. No, I thought it was funny. I mean, the fact that she gave low energy. And let me say this. That's what I like about Rihanna. I always tell my students this. We got to stop comparing. We got to stop making every black woman have to be 1,000% astronomical in a world where Katy Perry wasn't even doing all that. Taylor Swift, she's starting to do a little bit of choreo, but not really. A lot of your favorite pop stars, the white girls, they weren't necessarily given all that energy. What I like about Rihanna is that Rihanna has found a way to be the richest out of all those girls and not have to give that much energy and that many fucks because she's that cool. Rihanna is selling coolness. Rihanna don't have to do all of that. She don't. Because guess what? We still like her. She has that it factor. She's the prom queen. She has that ability that just her mere presence, her smile, her giggle, her little innocuous movements is just enough to captivate us. A lot of people don't have that kind of charisma, that kind of charm, that kind of grift. She just has it. She has it. She's that girl. She's that it girl. And quite frankly, when I watched her, I was just so happy to see her on stage. I wasn't even judging the technique. I wasn't. I was just like, oh my God, it's Rihanna. There's some people that can do that. Not everybody can do that. But that's also what I appreciate about her is she never came to the scene trying to do all that anyway. If you look at her old videos back in 2007, she wasn't even doing all that kind of dancing. She never was that type of performer. There was every time her music videos, she would give a little bit of choreo for her music videos, right? Where Have You Been was gorgeous. But like, Rihanna is just, she's just fun. And so I think for her to give the bare minimum to a billionaire and got her money, that's probably the best thing in the story. I'm happy she, sprain an ankle, fall on the floor, slip and hurt herself, trying to be the most perfect person on earth. Nope. And if they wanted something else, they should have asked for a different artist. Because anybody who's seen, because I think the person, the birthday boy, I feel like he just wanted Rihanna to be there. I don't think he even cared about all that other shit. Everybody like, oh, they didn't get as much as they thought they deserved. You don't know what he wanted. That's how impactful Rihanna is. He said, I don't want Beyonce. I don't want vocals. I just want somebody on the mic. And I want somebody to give me, I want someone's fun. I want somebody to get drunk. I want someone to curse. I want somebody to make my party lit. There's a different energy. Now, would I spend $9 million for Rihanna? I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I might. If I had that kind of, I might have done the same. Just seeing her do the pat alone would have been worth $1 million. I just find her fun. I don't know. I have a bias. I find her fun. So this week in movies, I'm all in on the Oscars. I've watched all of the Oscar nominated films. I've been following all of the predictions and precursors. I'm pretty much set on who I think is going to win. I personally don't see any major upsets. Unless you're considering, an upset in Best Actress. Like, personally, I feel like Lily Gladstone is going to win. I know there's some people that want Emma Stone, but Emma Stone already won an Oscar. It's time. Like, I just want them to give new people awards. Like, I just, Lily Gladstone will be the first Native American actress to win. That's a big deal. And it's a great performance in Killers of the Flower Moon. And I'm so happy that they made the decision to not have her as a supporting actress. Because she would have swept. Divine Joy Randolph, that would have been hard. But moving Lily to Best Actress was genius. Yeah, it was genius. It's very seldom a move like that. Most of the time, people move people to supporting so they can have a chance of winning. Like Alicia Vikander and the Danish Girl won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress, even though she really should have been the lead actress. That was category fraud. But then Kate Winslet moved from the reader as a supporting actress to a lead actress role, and that was good. That was good. That was a smart move. But then you have situations like Viola Davis where in Fences, Viola Davis was a lead actress. I don't care what nobody say. But then they moved her to supporting because Emma Stone was in that category and they wanted, her to win something. I just want to say this is so funny. The whole lead cast of women in The Help all went on to win Oscars. Viola Davis, Jessica Chastain, Emma Stone, and Octavia Spencer. All four of them years later would win Oscars. Now, Octavia Spencer won for The Help for Best Supporting Actress. And Viola Davis was nominated for Best Lead Actress. And Jessica Chastain was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. Emma Stone wasn't nominated yet for that film. But I just think it's interesting that all four of those women went on to win Oscars, following their work in that film. Even though The Help isn't the best movie on race, just to see how they all panned out in the end. I think even Allison Janney was in that film, and she didn't win the Oscar. So it was like, that movie, just everybody from that cast, a lot of them people from that cast did really well. Just an observation. So I'm predicting for best picture is going to be Oppenheimer. Best director will be Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer. Best original screenplay. I'm going to say Anatomy of the Fall. That's what I'm going with. Best adapted screenplay, that's the one I'm the most challenged on. It can either go for Barbie or it can go for Cora Jefferson for American Fiction. I don't know, man. I'm feeling like Barbie needs to get something, but I don't know. They might. I'm going to say Barbie, even though my heart is saying it's going to be Cora Jefferson. I'm going to take a risk and say Barbie. Best original song is going to go to Billie Eilish for Barbie. Best supporting actress is going to be Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers, which you can watch that movie on Peacock. Best supporting actor is going to be Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer, which is also on Peacock. Best actor in a lead role is going to be Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer. And best actress is going to be Lily Gladwater for Killers of the Flower Moon. I think that's it. I don't see no other upsets. People are making some bold predictions on the internet, but I think that's it. I think that's the list. As far as music goes, I'm curious to see how Texas Hold'em by Beyonce is going to hold up. It's officially a Billboard Hot 100 now, number one. It might be a second week because I haven't really seen any new music come out that I feel like will trample it because it's been in the news. The rodeo's happening in Houston. I got a funny feeling she's going to make an appearance at the rodeo, the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. Yeah, I don't see no one else taking it. I feel like it can hold another second week. That'd be nice though. They have a second week at number one for that song. It would be nice to see. But Cardi B dropped some new music, this freestyle. It's okay. I'm just at a point where I'm just ready to see her do something. I'm ready to see Cardi give us an album. It's been years. It's been a minute. And I am starting to believe the notion that she might be nervous. Cause I like this freestyle. It pays homage to Missy Elliott. She always has a nice look, always great visuals. But it's time to get off the pot. It's time to just go. Just go, you know? And I just feel like she's getting in her head. She's being a super perfectionist. You know, Normani, however, is coming soon. Dopamine. Normani had a lot of issues in her family life. You know, she had her mother and her father who were struggling with cancer. They're still alive and well. But she had a lot of things in her life going on that also played a role in her ready. But now she's ready. And she's on it. She's this Dopamine album, she's trying to bring it. And I know her fans for a long time been waiting for this album, so I'm here for it. I hope she pulls it off. With TV this week, I watched, because I was at home a lot, I watched Truman, Capote and the Swans, which I'm still on. I can't praise this show more enough. If you're somebody who is looking for some new TV, I recommend this show. It is very good. And it's in each episode, like I said, every time I watch it, I think I know how it's going to play out. But it's deeper. It's deeper than I thought it was. It's very mature. And I'm not going to say I'm sad it's going, but you know how you watch a show and it's so good that you know it's going to eventually conclude. So it's going to conclude like 2 more episodes, but I'm going to really miss it because I really did appreciate a lot of the messaging and the stories and things of it, but I really did appreciate it. Abbott Elementary, this episode was really good as well. Like I said, Abbott is on a special type of zenith right now. They're getting more personal, more intimate with the characters. We're starting to learn more about them. They're unfolding and unraveling to us. And I'm happy because I feel like the first 2 seasons, it was really about us understanding the core of the scene in the show. And I think that's really good when you do the first 2 seasons. You want to establish a pattern, and then you want to then take it to the next level and then, you know, get deep. And I think they're really doing that with the characters. And I appreciate, because I won't tell too much, but I appreciate the return of other cast members who were kind of not present at certain points, but now have come back, you know, to help with the storyline. So I will say that is one of my favorite things I've seen this season that I really much appreciate. Yeah. And, you know, as far as this upcoming week go, I'm just going to be taking it easy, doing a couple of events, but I'm looking forward to Sunday, the Oscars. I'm going to a big Oscar watch party. You know, I love my Oscar watch parties. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to just really being, you know, as away from viruses as much as possible, and just really just, you know, staying hydrated and fluid up. And looking forward to my Oscar March Madness, you know, score sheet being right. You know, remember what I just said on this episode, because next week's episode will be reviewing Oscars. But, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to go down. But as always, be well and be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.